Today's different in a lot of ways. And we have all of the elementary age kids with us today because we're wrapping up our Blessed Mess series as we're talking about family. And one of the beautiful things about the church is we are the family of God that is a collection of families. And we have generations gathered together to learn about Jesus together, to help people discover, trust, and love Jesus. And as we think about those different generations that are with us, one of the things that we have to remember is that the way we follow God, there are people watching us to see if we really trust God, to see if we're really going to take this Jesus thing seriously. And that's really awesome because it's a great opportunity for us to show the world, to show our families, to show the people who are a part of our church that Jesus has changed our life and that we want Jesus to change other people's lives. And today our big idea is that Jesus calls us to follow him and to live a life worth following. That people would look at us and see Jesus in us. And as we think about following, one of the things that I kept thinking about is one of my favorite games when I was a kid. It was Simon Says. Simon Says. And I need some kids to help me with this. Can I get some kids? I need like 5 or 10 volunteers to just come up here. Children, come. Yeah, I see you. Your hands. Come on up. Come on up. Yeah, see, here they come. All the way up. All the way up. All the way up. I've fallen upstairs too many times. Don't worry about it. All the way up. All the way up. All right. Okay, kids, you guys get in the light because you're adorable, and this will make people forget how scary I am. All right, I need to know your names real quick. All right, what's your name?
Travis.
Travis.
Brooklyn. Noah. Emma.
Oh, hi, Emma. I know you.
Andrew. Katie. Georgia.
Georgia. All right. All right, Georgia. Oh, Case, you got that donut? You ready? All right, this is Casey. Are you all fueled up with your pumpkin donut or chocolate, whatever you had? All right. Okay, we're going to play Simon Says, all right? Okay, and I need you guys to help me because they're going to play Simon Says too. All right. Yeah, we're all playing Simon Says. So I didn't think if you thought you're going to get out of that, but no, that's not how this works today. All right. So you guys know the rules of Simon Says, right? Yeah. So I'll be Simon, all right? My name is Jason. Don't be confused, but today, right now, I'm Simon. So I'm Simon, and I say Simon Says, you have to do that thing, right? And if I say to do something, but I don't say Simon Says, what do? Don't do anything. Right. Perfect. Exactly, Georgia. It's against the rules, and we are all about rules. All right, so I need everybody. Simon Says, stand up. All right. I know, you guys got it. Don't worry about it, man. You got this. All right. All right, Simon Says, put your hand on your head. Simon Says, high five your neighbor. All right. In the 9 o'clock service, it was awesome. It was just a bunch of older white people trying to high five each other. It was great. It was fun to watch. I'm not going to lie. Fun to watch. All right. Simon Says, stand on one foot. Some of you guys have your hands off your heads, and so you're out. I'm sorry. Oh, we're all about rules, right, Andrew? All right. Simon Says, sit down. We're done. All right. That was good, right? Simon Says, Simon Says, go back to your parents. They were listening. You guys have raised some great children. Following instructions, way to go. Simon Says, sit down. I'm like, all right, we're right here. Some days I'm like that. I want to do that too. It's like, let's just sit down. Let's just talk. So we are talking about following. And Simon Says is a simple, childish game. And it has no real life application other than, are you able to listen to instructions? My favorite way to play Simon Says, though, is with our kids and say, Simon Says, go hide quietly. And then just wait them out. And that's good. It works. If you have some grandkids coming up or babysitting anytime soon, try it. It'll work. It'll give you at least 20 minutes, all right? Before they're like, are we still playing a game? And yeah, Simon Says, quiet. Quiet. So, all right, kids. Brent mentioned the note sheet. All right, so I want you to follow along in the notes sheet, and there's all kinds of games and activities that you can follow along with. But I also am going to have kids reading, and I've got some kids that are going to help me today. And so throughout the message today, you're going to see your friends reading with me and up here as well. And so it's going to be a fun day all around. But as we talk about following Jesus, as we talk about following the Lord, one of the things that we have to recognize is all throughout the Bible, God calls people to follow him. It is one of the central things is that we are called to trust the Lord, and we trust the Lord by following him as he leads us. And one of my favorite stories about somebody who learned how to trust the Lord is about a guy named Abraham. And I have some friends, Julia Mateer. Julia, you're going to come up and read Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8. And we're going to have it up on the screen. You can also follow along in the Creekside app. And Julia is going to read Hebrews 11 for us. Come all the way up here where people can see you, Julia. All right. Real loud and in your normal voice. No British accents this time.
Okay. By faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going.
Great job, Julia. Julia, what school do you go to?
Cedar Park.
What grade are you in?
7th.
Good job. High five. Nice. Nice. All right. Thank you, Julia. Abraham, by faith, follow the Lord. Let's think about the story of Abraham, because you may have read it when you were a child. Maybe you read it recently. But Abraham was not following God. And then one day God showed up and said, follow me and go someplace where you've never been, to be around people you've never met, and just trust me. And what did Abraham do? He did it. He said, I will follow the Lord. Following God requires faith. Faith is not having all the answers, but stepping forward anyway. Faith is not knowing exactly what's going to happen, but saying, Lord, I'm going to trust you as you lead me. And so Abraham, by faith, followed the Lord. And when we think about faith today, sometimes people think about faith as I trust Jesus so that I can go to heaven later. But faith is really about following God all the time. Not just later, but right now. Following God at school, following God in your home, following God at work. Everywhere we go, we are following God to trust him in that place. And that's hard sometimes, but it's worth it. Because when we follow after God, like Abraham, our faith comes with a promise. Following God comes with a promise. Do you guys remember what Abraham's promise was? What God promised Abraham? Somebody shout it out to me. Shout it out, Georgia. Yes, a land flowing with milk and honey, which is just like really old-timey ice cream, right? Yeah, it is. They didn't have ice and stuff, but it was just really sweet cream, right? And so like the Bible talks about ice cream. So remember that, kids, when you say, can we have ice cream? The Bible talks about it. So, but he calls them to go to a land flowing with milk and honey. He promises him that he will be the father of a great nation. Now, Abraham was really old. And his wife was really old, and they didn't have any kids. And so Abraham hears this promise, and he was like, for real though? And in the Bible, Abraham's wife, Sarah, she actually laughed when she heard this. Like, God, that's a good one. And then God said, you're going to name your kid Isaac, which means laughter, because God's like, I'm going to get the last laugh. And that's what happened, because she's 90 years old. Now she's got a baby. Who wants to be a 90-year-old mom? Anybody? Anybody? No, but God has a sense of humor. And he's like, Isaac, isn't he cute? Good luck with that, Sarah. But it was the promise that God was going to make a great nation out of Abraham. And Abraham didn't see that all come to pass because he died before Isaac had any kids. And he didn't see this promise come to pass, but he trusted the Lord in the midst of the promise. He trusted the Lord in the midst of trouble. Did he always do everything right? No. Do you always do everything right? That is the correct answer. So you got that one right. We all mess up. But when we try to trust the Lord, we're trusting him through our mistakes. We're trusting him that he's going to continue working with us even in our imperfection. Because he makes a promise to us that when we trust the Lord, we are brought into the family of God. And how is that possible? How did God make that possible? Because Jesus, the Son of God, came and lived among us. And he laid his life down to pay for our mistakes, to pay for our sin, so that we could be a part of God's family. And today, that's our promise, that when we trust Jesus, we are not alone. We are not alone. Look around. In this room, there are people who maybe you don't know their name yet, but because we trust Jesus together, we're family. We're family. And this blessed mess that we've been talking about throughout this whole series is talking about our families, how to live in family and love and honor our families, but also to recognize that we're a part of this big, beautiful family of God. That's messy, and sometimes we make mistakes, but we're learning how to follow Jesus together. And that's the promise. Jesus calls us to follow him. And there's another great passage in the Gospel of Matthew, and I'm going to ask Emma and Micah to come on up. Where are you at, Emma and Micah? Okay, come up here, quick. You guys are runners. Get up here. All right. Emma and Micah Arceo are going to read this. And Jesus calls his disciples throughout the Gospels, and he calls them really specifically and really cool. How are you guys going to break this up?
Do you want to say it?
No.
Okay, so Micah, are you just hanging out? Sounds good. You're chill, bro. All right, Micah, how old are you?
I'm 7.
That's a good age. What have you learned so far in all of life?
I don't know.
Good. The first step of wisdom and knowledge is knowing what you don't know. High five. All right. Emma, how old are you?
I'm 12.
You'll get there. You'll get there. Yeah, it happens. Don't worry. And what school do you go to?
King's Junior High.
Wonderful. All right, Emma, will you read Matthew 4:18 through 20?
Yes. As Jesus was walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw 2 brothers, Simon called Peter and his brother Andrew. They were casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. "Come, follow me," Jesus said, "and I will send you out to fish for people." At once they left their nets and followed him.
Great job. Can you give the Arceo kids a hand? Good job, Arceo kids. Micah, you really held down the stage real good. Thanks, bro. He's just like, whatever. Micah, I love Micah. He's always been just a little too cool for me, though. How would you respond if Jesus came to you in your place of work or at school and he just said, stop everything you're doing, let's go? It'd be kind of weird, right? Like if somebody came to you and just said, no, whatever you're doing, don't do that anymore. Let's follow after me. But here, Andrew and Simon, Peter, they did exactly that. Jesus saw them fishing and he said, you know what? I'm going to make you fishers of men. Come with me. And I love this because Jesus didn't just call them to say, hey, come with me, learn some cool stuff, see some cool things, and then we're going to just be hanging out together. No, Jesus called them to work with him. He said, follow me and join me on my mission. When we say yes to following Jesus, we are saying yes to his mission. Following Jesus means joining in his mission. And I love how Jesus called them because he gave them a vision for their life. Follow me and I will make you fishers of men. He painted them a picture. How many of you guys ever, like you're in school or you're at work, you ever just take a moment and you just like think about something else other than what you're doing? Anybody? Raise your hand. Let's be honest in church. Okay, guys? All right. We all do it from time to time, right? We make these like mental pictures of maybe it's like, I want to go fishing, or maybe it's I want to take a nap or whatever. And we think about these things. Jesus is calling them, giving them a picture to say, think about what you can be. And he's using their life. You know, right now how you're fishing for fish? I'm going to have you fish for men. I'm going to have you go and rescue people. And I think Jesus still does that. Sometimes when we think about following Jesus, we think that he's just going to call us to go and do something totally different than whatever we're doing. But I think more often than not, Jesus calls him and he says, right where you're at, I'm going to make you students of grace. I'm going to make you teachers of hope. I'm going to make you nurses of mercy. I'm going to make you accountants of righteousness. I don't know. It breaks down after a while. I can't figure it out. But he calls us in our life and he says, I'm going to use your life to help other people find life. I'm going to use your experience to help other people discover, trust, and love me. That's what he did with Andrew and Peter, and that's what he does with us. And so whatever we do in our life, wherever we end up working, the question over and over again, I got so tired of when I was a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because I didn't know where to apply for cowboy. I didn't know. Like the job fair would come through high school. This was still high school. Job fair would come through. No cowboy place, but it's like I could work at this accounting firm, and it's like that's cool too, I guess. Yeah. What any cowboys needed there? No. But he calls us where we are to do our life with him, to carry the mission right where we are. And so we all are following after Jesus. We're following God and we're following Jesus. And as we follow Jesus, we're brought into the family of God. And it's important that as we think about following Jesus, that we don't do it alone. That we don't just try to do following after Jesus all by ourselves, because that's really hard to do. We need examples. And I have another verse, and this is a really short verse, so I need JC Tanton to come up now. JC, come on up. Come on up. Do you have a Bible? All right, I got one for you. Yeah, give JC a hand. Right on, JC. All right. All right, we're going to read 1 Corinthians 11:1. All right, JC, how old are you?
10.
And what's your teacher's name?
It's my mom.
Yeah, I know. Awesome. Do you, and is your mom awesome?
Yeah.
She is awesome. So good job. Good job, JC's mom. All right. Can you read 1 Corinthians 11:1?
Follow my example as I follow the example of Christ.
Great job. Great job. Give JC a hand. Good job. Can I have that piece of paper back? Because there's other things I want to say on there. Awesome. Good job. Thank you. You can go back to your seat. See what JC just did there? She memorized it beforehand. And just as a pro tip here, that's going to be our memory verse later. So if you're like, oh man, I want to memorize that, it's super easy. Go for it. Mark that on your Discover card that you're going to memorize 1 Corinthians 11:1. But Paul, in that letter, he's writing to a church that is messed up in Corinthians. And every time I read that book in the Bible, I am so thankful for you, Creekside. Because our church, man, we're not perfect, but we are not 1 Corinthians, all right? It's so good. It's a blessing. So thank you for being a pastor's joy here. I don't have to write you letters and say, stop suing each other. But if you are, don't do that. Anyway, but he's been writing all this correction to the church. He's saying, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And he's making a pivot in chapter 11 to say, now follow my example. Follow after me. Now, why can he say, follow me? Because he's following Jesus. It's not just that Paul has it all figured out and that Paul is always right all the time. But Paul knew, if I keep following after Jesus, then it's going to be okay if other people follow after me, because we're all going in the right direction. And we need good examples to help us follow Jesus. Following good examples helps us follow Jesus. So who are your examples? Maybe it's your parents. Maybe it's a friend who tells you about Jesus. Maybe it's an older person in your life who's been investing in you. Who are your examples? On your Discover card, there's a place where you can write down their names. And here's the challenge that I want to ask you this week. Tell them thank you. It's Thanksgiving. It'd be a great opportunity to say thank you for investing in me. I have a friend who I met when I was 12 years old. His name is Dustin. When I was 12, I was shorter, way skinnier, way shyer, and way quieter. All around, if I could just hang out in a corner and nobody see me when I was 12, that would have been the best thing in the world. Things have changed in a lot of ways. But largely because Dustin came into my life. He said, you know what, I'm going to invest in that kid. And he helped me, he helped answer my questions about Jesus. He helped me understand what it meant to follow him. He helped me understand what ministry looked like. And one day, he moved away to work at another church. I was really sad. But he has been a part of my life ever since. We have maintained friendship. We have maintained relationship. And over again, I think about the way I read the Bible is the way that Dustin taught me how to read the Bible. The fact that I bring my Bible to church every Sunday, I have it right here. I bring my Bible to church every Sunday because guys like Dustin said, you should bring your own Bible to church every Sunday. And I do, still. Who are your examples? Who are the people who have invested in you? Do you know their names, and can you thank them this week? Say, thank you for investing in me. You never know what that will do for them at that moment. The encouragement that might bring to them. But it's not about you knowing how well you encourage them. It's just saying, you invested in me. And good examples help us follow after Jesus. Note I didn't say perfect examples, because nobody but Jesus is perfect. somebody will let you down somewhere along the way. But it's how they respond after a disappointment, how they respond after failing, that helps you say, you know what, they're worth following. I'm going to continue to follow after them as they follow after Jesus. Who are your examples? But then also, one of the things that is really cool is that we also get to be examples for other people. Like I said at the beginning, people are watching us. And there's one more verse that I want to read, and this is going to be read by Katie Mateer. Katie, come on up. All right, yeah, Katie. Katie, I have to talk about your arm real quick.
Okay.
What's your favorite signature?
Myself.
All right. I said earlier as we were praying for this service, I was like, this is the first service in a long time where I don't know what's going to happen. And thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to read a verse from 1 Timothy. And Paul in 1 Timothy is writing to his friend and somebody that he's been discipling, a guy named Timothy. And so will you read 1 Timothy 4:12?
Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity.
Thank you, Katie. Good job. Right on. Give Katie a hand. Following Jesus means being a good example for others. Now, this verse was written to a young pastor in a church where, people thought, oh, you're young, you can't do this. And Paul is challenging Timothy, saying, no, even if people don't think you can do it, set an example anyway. Do the right thing anyway. And as we look in this room, we have people of all kinds of ages. And there's always going to be somebody who's a little bit older than us, right? And we have to say, I'm going to set an example for them, even if they don't think I'm worth following yet. I'm still going to live my life in a way that shows that Jesus is important to me, that Jesus has changed my life. So we could set an example for other people. And I love how this works because, kids, you have an opportunity to be an example to your parents. You have an opportunity to be an example to your teachers. You have an opportunity to be an example to me of what faith really looks like. I love how Jesus in the Gospels, he welcomed kids. He said, let the kids come to me. And there are times where he used children to help people understand how powerful faith is. And he says, unless you have faith like a child, you'll never understand the kingdom. And Jesus invites us to have faith like yours, to have a passion like yours. And so kids, as your pastor, as the pastor of this church, will you be an example for us? Will you help us to see what following after Jesus looks like for you and your generation, where we can say you are trusting the Lord so well and challenging us? As you get older, kids, now I'm 35. I'm kind of like right in the middle in this room, all right? As we get older, we get real set in our ways, right? And it's like, no, it's 7:30. I'm watching Jeopardy. And it's like, no, this is what's happening. And one of the things that my kids have taught me, and I love this about them, is they don't care about my ways. They're like, no, Jeopardy is not happening, Dad. And it's like, but I want to see how many wrong answers I know, which is all of them, usually. But they always call me and pull me away from whatever my plan is. And usually, it's more fun to do what they want to do. It's better to follow after what they're doing. And so parents, will you look to your kids for faith, for passion, for love, for joy, to see like this is what it looks like, innocent and pure and full of hope, and not set in our ways and looking for Alex Trebek. Is the mustache back yet or not? I don't know. But to say, Lord, help me look to people who are younger than me to learn about faith and joy and keep that fresh in me. But then also, looking up the ladder in age to say, okay, there's some people who are older than me. I want to encourage them and to be an example for them and let the faith of God work in me and through me for them as well, that they would follow after Jesus. And together, as the family of God, we disciple one another. We help each other become more and more like Jesus. And that's what the beautiful mess is really all about, because we're not going to get it right every time. And we're going to step on some toes and someone's going to spill some milk and somebody's going to, throw some food across the table. Wait, that's this week, Thursday. No, anyway, a different thing. But we're going to make a mess sometimes. But together we get to help let Jesus clean up our hearts and clean up our lives. But we have to make a decision today to say, I want to be an example. I want people to see in me that Jesus is worth following. And so on your Discover card, will you set a good example as I follow Jesus? Will you mark that? And say, yeah, I want to do that because I want to be praying for you. Because this week we have so many opportunities to share our hope with Jesus. We have so many opportunities with our family as we gather, as people think about and what we're doing for Thanksgiving, and people ask the question, what are you thankful for? One of the things that I hope that we have around the table is those questions. What are you thankful for this year? And we don't just say, oh, the Seahawks are doing real good. No, that's cool, but come on. But would we really be able to say, I am thankful for what Jesus is doing in my life? And be able to say these things Jesus has done in my life over the past year. I am so thankful because I know I can't do that by myself. Will you mark that on your card? I'm going to be praying for you this week. Whatever age you are, I'm going to be praying for you that you will be able to be a good example as you follow after Jesus. And then last, will you memorize 1 Corinthians 11:1? Follow me as I follow after Jesus. Now maybe you're here today and you're not yet following Jesus. I am so glad you're here. Whether you're 6 or 96, I am so glad you're here. Because it is never too early to say yes to Jesus, and it is never too late to say yes to Jesus. Jesus laid his life down so that you could be a part of God's family. And today, will you say yes to that invitation that Jesus made available for you? Will you say, Jesus, help me become more like you? Help me to not try to be selfish and not try to do my thing, but Jesus, I want to do your thing. I want to follow you. And if that's you, if you're saying yes to Jesus on your Discover card, will you mark become a follower of Jesus? Because we want to encourage you. We want to give you some next steps. We want to help you on this journey. And we're all on this journey together. As the big, beautiful, messy family of God, we're following after Jesus together. And will you let us help you do that? Let's hold our Discover cards as we pray together. Father, thank you for sending your son, Jesus, to rescue us from ourselves, to rescue us from our loneliness, from our isolation. Father, thank you for your amazing, wonderful love. And Lord, I ask that you would help us to trust you more and more together as your family. And Father, I pray for those who are saying yes to you today. Lord, I pray that your Spirit would help them know your love, that they would experience your grace and kindness, that you would change their heart. And Lord, help us as your family here to walk with them, to welcome them into the family. We love you, we worship you, we glorify you in all things. Amen. Amen.